welcome back to the Music and Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Keana W. Mitchell, relationship coach, songwriter, and emotional strategist. This is the space where we explore how music and emotional healing intersects and how your past doesn't have to define your future. So today's episode is deeply personal and incredibly important. And this episode is called How Your Childhood Affects Your Relationships. So today, we're going to talk about how the relationship examples you saw growing up shape the way you love, connect, and even argue today. We'll explore childhood trauma, ACEs, and how to move from conflict to connection with 5 healing exercises and a homework assignment to help you start shifting from your patterns this week. But before we do that, let's recap what we talked about last week. So last week, we talked about the journey from codependency to healthy attachment. And wow, the feedback was powerful. Here are a few key takeaways. Codependency often starts when we learn to abandon ourselves to keep others comfortable. Healthy attachment means you can be close to someone without disappearing. We explore how boundaries are not rejection, they're self-respect. And we talked about how healing begins when you stop trying to earn love and start receiving it freely. So if you missed that episode, I strongly and highly recommend going back and listening to it. It sets the foundation for today's conversation. So to listen to last week's episode of the podcast, click the link in the show notes and you can listen to last week's episode of the podcast so you can kind of be caught up so that we can begin this important topic about how childhood trauma affects your relationships today. So let's start with the truth that's hard to hear but freeing to understand. Many of the things we struggle with in relationships today are echoes of what we saw or didn't see in childhood. So if you grew up in a home where love was conditional, you might now chase approval. If you witness constant conflict, you might either avoid confrontation or recreate chaos. If you were neglected emotionally, you might feel invisible in relationships or overextend yourself just to be seen. These patterns aren't random, they're learned survival strategies. Let's go deeper into something that's foundational to understanding how childhood trauma affects our relationships. So what we're going to do in this part is we're going to talk a little bit about ACEs, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. So the term comes from a groundbreaking study conducted in the late 1990s by Kaiser Permanente and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. Researchers surveyed over 17,000 adults about their childhood experiences and current health. What they found changed everything. They identified 10 core types of childhood adversity that significantly impact long-term health and relational patterns. So the ACEs are physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical neglect, emotional neglect, witnessing domestic violence, household substance abuse, household mental illness, parental separation or divorce, and finally, incarcerated household member. So each yes to one of these categories counts as one ACE score. The higher your score, the greater your risk for emotional, relational, and physical challenges later on in life. So people with 4 or more ACEs were 2.5 times more likely to experience depression, 4 times more likely to attempt suicide, 7 times more likely to become alcoholics, 3 times more likely to engage in risky sexual behavior, and more likely to develop chronic illness like heart disease, cancer, and autoimmune diseases. But here's what's missed. ACEs doesn't just affect your body, they shape your beliefs about love, safety, and connection. So if you grew up in chaos, your nervous system may be wired to expect instability. If you were emotionally neglected, you may struggle to trust that your needs matter or will be met. If you witness control or manipulation, you may confuse intensity with intimacy. So you may overfunction in relationships to feel worthy. You may shut down when someone gets too close. You may repeat cycles of abandonment or emotional unavailability. You may fear conflict, even when it's healthy. But here's the good news: your ACE score is not your identity. Healing is possible, and it starts with awareness, compassion, and intentional rewiring. So, what are some things we can do to find healthy relationship examples? I want you guys to remember that healing begins when you realize you can choose a new blueprint. You can choose the relationship that you actually want to have. So, how do we start? The first way to start would be just naming what we saw. Write down the relationship dynamics we witnessed growing up and ask, what did I learn about love, safety, and conflict from my parents? The next thing you can do is identify what you want to keep and release. This is so important because everything that you saw with your parents wasn't all bad. I'm sure there were some good things that you saw that will be beneficial to you. So it's important to look at these patterns and say, okay, which one might be worth keeping? For example, like loyalty or commitment. And then others like emotional avoidance or control, they may need to be gently released. So you get to pick out, what do I want to keep? What do I value? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to release? Another thing that you can do is seek out healthy role models. So just look for couples, mentors, or creators who model respectful communication, emotional safety, mutual support. Even reading books about healthy relationships and understanding your triggers and what you can do to control yourself, to be able to self-soothe, and to be able to implement a lot of these healthy relationship patterns. You can find examples in things like podcasts like this one. You can find examples in books on attachment and trauma recovery, communities that honor emotional healing and health, therapy or coaching spaces. All of these spaces are designed to help you find these examples. And like I said, if you didn't have it, it's fine. But we can later on in life go back and find examples of what healthy relationships look like. Another thing that you can do is create your own definition of love. So ask yourself, what does love look like when it's safe, mutual, and healing? Write it down. Let it guide your choices. Practice with safe people. So just start small. Practice boundaries, vulnerability, and emotional honesty with people who respect you. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in safe connection. Since healing begins with self-awareness, here are 5 exercises to help you start shifting from conflict to connection. Exercise number 1, inner child check-in. So in this exercise, I would ask that you take about 5 minutes each morning to ask, what does my inner child need today? Write it down and then honor what your inner child needs for that day. Exercise number 2. This is boundary rehearsal. Okay, so we all know sometimes setting boundaries can be very difficult, especially if you're not used to it. So this is where you get to practice. So what I want you to do is practice saying one boundary out loud. And you can say it out loud, but I would love for you to look in the mirror so you can see how you're saying it. So you can practice saying it in an assertive but kind way and know how it comes off. So practice saying one boundary out loud, like, I need time to process before I respond. Repeat it until it feels natural. And then once you conquer that one, try another boundary and practice that. Because the more you practice setting boundaries, the easier it will become when people are trying to cross your boundaries or you see you need to put a boundary in place in your relationship. So boundary rehearsal is definitely something I would love for you guys to practice this week. Exercise number 3, conflict pause. So when tensions rise, say, let's take 10 minutes to breathe and come back. This rewires your nervous system to expect safety and not chaos. This is important, especially if you grew up in a household where arguments and conflict was constant. So being able to put a pause can definitely help you to rewire your nervous system and expect safety and not chaos, but it can also help you self-regulate and look into, okay, what do I need right now? What do I need to say? What can I say? It can give you a chance to calm down and look at this from a rational perspective. So conflict pause is something that I would definitely encourage you to practice, especially if you grew up in a household that was high conflict. Exercise number 4. This is our attachment journal. So each night, I want you to write down What did I feel safe doing today in my relationships? And then track the pattern of growth, because there may be sometimes you may not feel safe with setting a boundary, but the more you do it, you'll begin to feel safe, right? Maybe you don't feel safe engaging in healthy conflict, but the more you do it, the safer it feels. So each night, I want you to write down, what did I feel safe doing today in my relationships? And then track your pattern of growth and continue to do those things. And finally, this is something that I love to do, music reflection. So this week, I want you to listen to this week's song by Emory Rose, which is called He's a Playa, and ask yourself, what part of me is this song speaking to? Let music be your mirror, because when you listen to songs and you say, what is this song speaking to me about? What is this song saying? What am I thinking about? What am I reflecting? This can actually help you process things a lot easier and move on in a safe space. So that is your assignment for this week. One of the things I'd like for you to do is to do the music reflection, listen to this week's song by Emory Rose, and then ask, what part of me is this song speaking to? And let music be your mirror. So for this week, I do have a homework assignment for you, and that homework assignment is called From Reaction to Reflection. So here's what you guys get to do. I want you to identify one recurring conflict in your relationship. Pause before reacting and ask, is this about now or is this about then? And this is important because you need to know, am I feeling my emotions? Am I feeling this way because it's something that's happening now? Or is this a direct reflection of something that happened to me in my childhood? And then I want you to write a compassionate response you wish you can give your younger self. Try using that tone in your next conversation, and you will be amazed at how this shifts the energy. So, the song we're going to listen to, before we get to the song we're going to listen to, I don't know, for some reason I keep forgetting to tell you guys this. I know that I gave you 5 exercises, and it's a lot to remember, right? So what I am doing, what I've started to do, is I have a PDF of all of these exercises listed in the show notes, and it's in a link. So all you have to do is go to the show notes, click on the link, and once you click on the link, you will definitely be able to see the exercises in the PDF and be able to go over these exercises. Another thing that I did this week is, and I don't usually do it, but I am going to start doing it since this is about music and therapy, and I do feel like Emory Rose, our podcast artist, does have a lot of songs that can be beneficial to us as we go through the week. Starting this week, I'm going to put her song on our YouTube page. So, since one of the exercises was listen to the song by Emory Rose for this week and reflect and think about what the song is saying to you and how it's speaking to you, I'm going to put it in a video on our YouTube page. So the YouTube page is also in our show notes, but I think I may also just have a separate link for the video just in case you guys just want to listen to that and maybe don't feel like going through our YouTube page. So I can do that as well. So just remember to check out the show notes because we have the PDF in there, and we also have this week's song by Emory Rose. So the song we're going to listen to this week is by, of course, our podcast artist Emory Rose, and the song is called He's a Playa, and it's about a woman who realizes that she is repeating the same relational patterns as her parents. So here is the song, He's a Playa.
He never wanted to be the man you want for them. Then all the flaws you have won't seem so attractive to them. Fathers, you owe it to your daughters to be the man you want for them. Then all the flaws you have won't seem so attractive to them.
Before we wrap up, I want to remind you guys to check out the Music and Therapy Podcast YouTube channel. We do put things on the YouTube channel. I'm trying now to get better at putting content out, but I do have some of the podcasts from previous episodes up on the YouTube channel. We're also going to have the video for this week's song by Emory Rose, and it's live now. And I do have that on the YouTube channel right now, so that as you do your exercises for this week, you will definitely have access to the song to go through it and listen to it and do this week's exercise. Also, please, please, please don't forget to download the PDF for this week's healing exercise. This is going to help you go through the exercises and actually remember what we're supposed to be doing this week. So it's available in the description in the show notes. And please use it to deepen your healing and track your progress. I want to end by saying, guys, that you are not broken, but you are becoming. And everything you learn now is a gift to your future self and to the relationships you're building. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who's on their healing journey too. And remember, you do not have to repeat what you saw. You can create something new. Until next time, I'm Keana W. Mitchell, and this is the Music and Therapy Podcast with relationship coach Keana W. Mitchell. Have an amazing day and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.